Welcome to another episode of Dental Marketing Mastery. My name's Sal Khan. I'm one of the directors here at New Patient Incorporated, and I'm joined by the one and only Mark Dilitush, CEO of New Patient Sync.
Hey
Hey, Mark.
everybody.
Yeah. How's it
I'm
going,
just
Mark?
enjoying a nice early fall morning in New Jersey after 3 months of torturous heat.
Yeah.
And people are asking me where Howie is. So right now, Howie, I believe, is in Europe with his son and his daughter-in-law. So Howie's enjoying himself. So thank you for asking, but he's looking at some monument somewhere in Europe, probably. So
And if he's not traveling, he's probably on a golf course
he's
somewhere.
probably on a golf course. That's right. So.
Cool. So, Mark, today's podcast we have in store is AI and dentistry and the current buzz. There's a lot of jazz going around about AI and dentistry, and we're looking at whether it's tech that they're utilizing within the dental practice or marketing or consulting. But I thought we'd talk about the tech that they're utilizing within a dental practice with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think probably the first thing that AI would help with is imaging. So it makes sense. Medicine's been using AI to help them diagnose um, images for probably 15 years, right? So it makes perfect sense that it would make its way to dentistry.
Hmm.
Um, and that seems to be the current buzz among Facebook groups, discussions, dental town discussions, and there's dentists openly asking the question, "What are you guys getting? Is AI really helping you?" From what I can see and hear and feel, it sounds like the dentists weren't really missing a whole lot of diagnosable, treatment things that they needed to pay attention to. They were finding most of them, but the AI is um, allowing them to pinpoint in before they even walk into the room, so they'll
Yeah.
know. The AI says, "Hey, there's an issue with whatever tooth," and they can just go in and pinpoint in and see exactly what's going on. So and there's rendering AI out there that'll render a smile, give you a um, give you an after before you even start the before, right? A legitimate one that can actually be completed. So it makes perfect sense that AI would come into the medical side, the diagnosis side of the industry first, but that is far from where it's going to end. This is just the beginning. Um, I'm not going to speak to the diagnosis side. I'm going to leave that to the doctors and let them decide. What's great, what's not great, what helps, what doesn't help. I've pretty much spent my whole career staying out of that lane. Um, but the other lane, like practice management and practice marketing, that's everybody listening to this podcast could go use AI right now um, to help them with their own marketing, to help them with
Hmm.
their own internal communications, to help them with team communications, to help with whatever. I mean, you can go into AI right now. What is Chat GPT, like $40 or something? I forget what it
Yeah.
was to
And
sign
they
up.
also have Bard out there as another option that they can use. That's a large language model.
Bard is another large language model. You just sign up and go in and start playing around. I think that's what we're going to talk about mostly, right, Sal? We're going to talk
Yeah,
about
and also
the marketing side and the
yeah,
practice management
marketing
side.
and practice management and also some of the pitfalls to stay away from. I think, let's start off with consulting. There was a conversation thread on Dental Town and they were talking about, hey, take a conversation that your team member had with a patient that didn't go well. Transcribe the conversation and then put that into ChatGPT or Bard and then ask it to say, hey, how would you have answered those questions or handled the call better? What are your thoughts on that, Mark?
Honestly, that's a waste of time, to be
Why do you
brutally
say?
honest. Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right, so, so, all right. So, 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 phone transcription is great, right? And so now we have the phone call transcribed. And if you've ever looked at an AI transcription, it's like almost pretty good. It's, it depends on the accents and the voice inflections and, background noise and all that stuff, but they're like, it's almost pretty good, right? So now you have it transcribed. So now you have to have a judge. It was that a good call? What I mean, AI does a really good job of sentiment analysis. That's where that's what a transcription doesn't give you sentiment analysis, right? It's just words. You're just reading the words. It's kind of like when you send an email and the person that gets it goes, "Are you angry at me?" And you're looking at them going, "What are you talking about? I'm not
Hmm.
angry at you." And well, your email sounded angry. How can an email sound anything, right? It's an email, right? It's text.
Hmm.
So AI does a really good job of um, listening to the actual voice, the audio, and and finding sentiment within the audio. That's not the text. That's not transcription. At the same time, it's transcribing the text, and about it's usually 80% pretty good, right? So now we need somebody to read the text or listen to the audio and judge whether it was the appropriate type of conversation. If the person from your office was answering their questions appropriately or guiding them appropriately so they feel comfortable about being a new patient in your office or whatever, or maybe they didn't discuss insurance properly. Or, Sal, this is pretty common. Maybe they kept the person on the phone for 14 minutes talking,
Yeah.
answering every literal question they have, including what's for lunch at the local elementary school. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so AI doesn't judge any of that, right? It's just judging the content of the text. And it won't know right now, it won't know um, the right way to communicate with an existing or new patient until it's trained. That's the part of AI that everybody's scrambling to build is the training mechanism where
Hmm.
an individual person, almost no matter what business they're in, can train their own synthetic assistant. That's what's going on right now in the AI world. That hasn't hit dentistry yet.
Yeah.
Um, um,
And then Mark,
but
just to connect on,
let's not use ChatGPT as a consultant, please. Okay,
no,
don't do
and
that.
let's not put personal information, your business information or patient information into ChatGPT as
That's a
well.
great point. That's a great point, Sal. I mean, yeah, I can see it now. I can see it now. Running phone calls through ChatGPT or Bard, it doesn't matter which language model you're using. So if any of those are patient conversations, that is an enormous HIPAA violation, right? So be careful with what you put through there,
Hmm.
right? Because it's not, this is in the cloud, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of people in the cloud.
No, agreed. Now, so shifting gears into marketing with AI, we've seen a lot of people trying to use AI with marketing. And I always tell people is like, be cautious when new tech comes out, like Google's local search ads, right? Everybody was like, oh, you should pay for these local search ads. And, next thing you know, we're like, yeah, it's not really an effective use of your marketing budget. And then if it's not a good lead, it's a pain in the butt to get Google to get your money back.
Right.
Let's talk about all the different pieces that they're utilizing it for marketing. I think the first one's blogging, right?
Yeah, the first one, and that actually is a really good way, a really good, efficient way for. Yeah, we're always looking for efficiency in dentistry because being a dentist is hard. Okay, you do 8 hours of surgery, lift your head up, and now you got a business to run. It's a pain, right? So whatever you can do, or whatever honestly your team you can delegate to your team as a benefit to your marketing is always good, as long as it's good marketing, right? So, like you can go to Bard or ChatGPT, I don't care which one, and you can say, "Hey, I want to write an article on the benefit of." Uh,
Implants, proper
well, no, 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 no.
hygiene.
Let's make it. I wanted to make it. I wanted to make it about a certain. Let's say that there's laser scanners that can find um, cavities, right? So you go into ChatGPT or Bard and you say, I want to write an article on um, a laser scanner that can find caries in humans, and I want you to write it at an eighth grade level. That's a really good tip for you if you're in ChatGPT, or because ChatGPT will give you a PhD thesis, okay, and you
Yeah.
can't really use that in your blog, right? You don't want to use that in your blog. And you can also tell it, use these words in your article. And the words that you put in there, use these words, colon, and then you have SEO rich word, comma, SEO rich word, comma, SEO rich word, comma, SEO rich word, comma, right? So all the things, an SEO rich word is a word that Google would find if somebody were searching for dental services, right? Okay, like dentistry for children. And so using those words in your article, go write my article, and it goes and it writes your article for you. Now, what's the next thing they shouldn't do, Sal?
They shouldn't copy and paste that right into their
Right,
blog post,
right,
because I
right.
don't think a lot of people realize Google is going to start being is now able to indicate like, hey, this was AI written tech, written blog, right? And that's not going to help you with your SEO. So if all of a sudden you do 10 blog posts and Google doesn't catch up on it, but then now they have,
Right.
now
And
that was
it's
wasted
not just
effort.
you being lazy, it's the other 27 dentists around you being lazy, and they're copying and pasting the same article. And now all of a sudden, we've got duplicate content like literally everywhere, right? So you grab your article with the SEO keyword rich text, and you look at it and you just alter it. It always puts sentences in there that are like run-on sentences, or it always puts sentences in there that makes the point twice, right? It almost never starts a paragraph with the actual point you're trying to make, right? So you can just take the bottom sentence and move it to the top, and you got a real paragraph, right?
Yeah.
And it's totally different than anyone else on earth created. You just got a really good starting point from the AI. So it might take your assistant, I don't know, 10 minutes to write a blog post every week with SEO rich keywords in it. Are you kidding me? That would be awesome, right? And then
Exactly.
Google looks at that when it goes up and grabs your website and pulls it back. It looks at that and goes, "Oh, these guys are, these guys are making changes to their website. They're updating their website all the time. Look at all these keyword rich, you know what I'm saying? Like it just,
Yeah, no, I agree.
and if it takes you 10 minutes, why not? Why
And it
not
could
do
save
it?
you a few $100 versus getting a custom blog writer, off
Exactly.
of Fiverr
Exactly.
or something.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a custom blog writer anymore. If there is, they're poor. So,
No, I think that was one of the first things that got knocked out when these large language models came out. But then
yeah.
there's also a lot of other things that the practice can utilize these large language models with. And I think before we dive into the other channels that they can utilize it for marketing, I think it's important for our listeners to know that when you're talking to these large language models, it's really important to ensure you're giving it the right information, right? Take on a persona of X, right? What is the output you want? What's the sentiment that you want it to write in? What do you want to limit it on? So if you don't give it direction, then it doesn't really give you the best output.
Sure. Like if I'm talking to a developer, a software developer, um, I can ask it to write in a technical tone, in a technical manner, and it'll sound just like a technical paper. The
Exactly.
dentists out there who are, I hate to even share this, but the dentists out there uh, who are qualifying for some of these higher education, higher CE, you know, a, Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, Academy of Dentistry anywhere, right? And so they all have these qualifications. You have to bring cases and you have to explain them and you have to, do all this stuff. Here's what I used. Here's what I didn't use. Here's how it came out. And ChatGPT could probably write half of that for you, right? Instead of you sitting down, You could tell ChatGPT, um, restoration, tooth to tooth. I did, this, and you can just ask it to tell the story of the case you
Hmm.
just did. Is it going to be perfect? No.
No.
But when you write something, normally, normally, if somebody already wrote like 80% of it before you even got to it, and you just went and you just read it and go, yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's wrong. Take that out of there, right? You just copy
Yeah.
and get it the hell out of here, and it will take you 1/10 the time to write almost anything. One of the most, you know what, Sal? I haven't never done this, but I'm now interested because it just popped into my head. Um, what Chat GPT would tell us if we asked it how to respond to a bad Google review. Because if
Yeah.
you look
That's
on Dental Town, there's whatever, there are 200,000 dentists on Dental Town. I bet 190,000 dentists ask that exact same question. How do I respond to a bad Google review, right? I wonder what ChatGPT would tell us, right?
Yeah, I think
Now,
I'm definitely interested to test it out. I think what I'll probably do in my test is make sure it's HIPAA compliant and see what it spits
yes,
out,
yes,
even if
yes,
I
yes,
tell
yes,
it to
yes,
do that.
yeah. Yes, no names, no names, no names ever. No, no, no patient identification ever. Insurance companies, I've done chat gpt searches for, what's the right verbiage to talk to patients about insurance, and 99% of the time chat gpt wants you to use insurance. So if you're going fee for service, like we're trying to encourage you to do, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to chat gpt to find that letter that Mark and Sal were talking about in the fee for service journey on their website, don't go there, because chat gpt is like, oh yeah, we take your insurance. So yeah,
Yeah, they don't really know how to guide you
it's
on
not
that
going to be very
question.
useful for that. Right. There's a lot of
No,
things
that
there's a lot of things it's really useful for, and there's a lot of things it's just really not useful for, right?
no.
So
Some use
yeah.
cases that they can utilize it for, and I see a lot of practices struggle when creating websites. They're like, "Oh, I got to sit down with a team member and write their bio and all. It's taking me an hour." Well, now you can go into these large language models and say, "Hey, take on the persona of a hygienist in a dental practice.
Yep.
Help me write a bio to use on the website. This is and give it a little some for bullet frames and experience and your history and what you like, and then hey,
And where
spit
they went
something
to
out."
school and where they grew up, and then it goes and you got yourself a bio.
Yeah, now we do encourage that you just don't copy and paste that, right? Like we said about
No.
the blog post, just go through it, change up some of the sentence structure, some of the superlative words, right? And then now it's not an AI written content, but now it also helps you save a ton of time, right?
Right. Yep.
Or newsletters within the practice. I know practices are like, hey, sending out newsletters. Hey, I want to talk about X and Y. And, practice is super busy, short staffed, patients coming in and out. Hey, this can help you create those newsletters and you can even plan them out in advance.
Oh, you could probably sit down in an hour and get your whole year's worth of patient newsletters done. Just drop
Or
them
even,
into whatever
yeah,
you send your emails with, and you're done for the year. Right?
social media is another one where I've come
Yeah.
across as, hey, I'm a dental practice. I offer X services, right? And, tell it what your goals are and write me a social media post calendar. What are some different posts that I can talk about with some of the benefits that my practice has to offer?
You can also, um, this is a little more advanced, and may or may not be applicable to all dentists, but you can also put in a social media post that someone gave you and ask the large language model to respond to it, right?
Yeah. Well, there's
Very
there's some
similar
tech
to
out there that's already,
a bad
yeah,
review response, right? It's very similar,
yeah,
but it doesn't have to be a bad review. It could be a great review. And you can just
yeah.
go say, hey, how should I respond to this great review? Here's the great review. And,
And just as a
ChatGPT.
side note on why you should respond to good and bad reviews, it looks good from a consumer standpoint because it
Yeah.
practices engagement with the reviews, and Google also looks at it through a positive light, right? Because Google's doing sentimental analysis on your reviews and the engagement, and these are all different pieces that'll help you with your SEO and online presence.
Yeah, I do want everybody to know that I did send an email to Google and ask them to allow dentists only to rate their patients on Google. give their patients 5 stars or 1 star. But nobody emailed me back. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Um, but they should adopt the like eBay, where you can rate a buyer and you can rate a seller, right? So it makes both sides feel better about who they're dealing with, right? And
Yeah.
imagine if you could give a Yelper a 1 as a business, right? It would
No,
remove all those butt heads that are giving us, or the competitors that give us a review when they're not even patients in our office, right? And
exactly.
the guy down the street gets jealous. You have a nice building, and you're getting all the patients in the neighborhood, and some old curmudgeon goes on to Google and gives you 5 bad reviews, pretending they're Mary Jones or something. That crap happens, right? So it would be really cool if we could just like rate you a 1 because you're a butthead, right? But we can't. So
No.
Google's not. Hey, I haven't responded, but I think it's a pretty good idea. Anyway,
So cool. So I
um,
think we covered quite a little different topics. We talked about, hey, I know the biggest buzz right now in a lot of practices I talk with are like, hey, this AI that's helping me with X-rays and identifying opportunities, and it's doing it quicker and it highlights it. That's great. We touched base on the marketing aspect and all the different ways to use it for marketing, and also things not to do to get you in trouble, right?
right.
And then consulting as well. I think consulting, right now, AI is not really there and doesn't have the knowledge and skill set to guide a practice from a consulting aspect.
Well, no, it can't guide a practice from a consulting aspect, but it can legitimately and efficiently feed a consultant exactly what's being said on the telephone and
Hmm.
give the sentiment analysis to the consultant.
Yeah, that's something outside of the large language models, right? That's like tech that call
Right,
tracking lines may have
right,
as a
right, right.
feature or benefit.
But as a consultant, if I was really, let they have new people at the front desk, or maybe they have just an old curmudgeon at the front desk, and they need to see why is our new patient numbers going down? The marketing is making the phone ring. Why am I getting less new patients? There's a good indication for you. So, but now you have a consultant, and the consultant's getting fed. Here's what's going on. Here's what's really going on. Because in every dental practice, the dentist is in an operatory looking at a 3 millimeter circle for 8 hours a day. They have no idea what's being said on a telephone. We know what's being said on a telephone. We translate those phone calls, right? So we know what's being said on the phone call, and sometimes we're like, "Oh my God, this person needs help." So anyway, so helping a consultant help a dentist, absolutely. It's already here. That's not a future thing. That's a here thing. So
Yeah, it's now.
yeah.
So awesome. Well, Mark, I think that brings us to a close. Folks, if our listeners, if you guys have topics you guys want us to discuss, any trends or anything that you'd like to hear more about, feel free to message us, share some insight. We're happy to take that feedback. And Mark, thank you very much for your time today. This is a really great call and a podcast.
Thank you,
And
sir.
look forward to catching up with everybody later. Have a
All
great
right,
day,
man.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.